All of our jars are recycled. So they're either mason jars or they're recycled food jars of a similar size, like saving those things from just ending up in the landfill. Our boxes that we use for deliveries are produce boxes that have been recycled from our local grocers. We have one volunteer who collects about 800 of those a year just so we can reuse them. We use reused newspaper to pack our boxes, but I think that really is just a testament to the small things matter. So being able to do what we can to eliminate waste in our community, but then taking all of that stuff that still is good and still has life and reminding people who are facing isolation, loneliness, or hardship that your community is here for you. Like, we care about you.
Over the rainbow.
Hey, story makers, and welcome to a special edition of Tellwell, the podcast, where we're inviting you into some of our favorite conversations with our story makers. Our story makers are our clients and our friends, and in this special edition, we're giving you a preview, a bit of an appetizer into what is coming up with Well Told, the nonprofit storytelling conference. And in studio with me today, I'm so excited to have the founder and executive director of Hope Blooms, Kelly Krenzel.
Thank you so much
The audio editor
for
is going to
honoring
be like,
all of my demands.
her single demand was, can we use that sound effect? And you know
Magic.
what? You're dang right we can. Kelly Krenzel is one of the most joy-filled, loving people that I know. And Kelly, can you start off? Oh, big hearts. I was going to say, the kids do it like this now. That's like their little heart.
Oh, I've also seen it like I can't.
Okay, if you're not seeing the video, we're just trying to make hearts back and forth, and it's very sweet. Kelly Krenzel, welcome to Tell the Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy you're here. Can you start off by telling us a little bit of like your story and the Hope Blooms story? Where did it come from? Where did this crazy idea that has blossomed into something so beautiful, where did it come from?
Well, I think it maybe came from like postpartum, like not getting enough sleep. No, I'm just kidding. So there's a variety of different influences to our little mission that could. So Hope Blooms is a local nonprofit here, and we repurpose donated flowers into individual bedside bouquets and deliver those to our community members in need, all with one message: you matter. And I think that word mattering, that is where it just hits home to me. As a very young girl, I spent all my summers with my sweet grandma Frida in a small town called Linton, North Dakota. And so
Home of the Lions.
Oh yes, Linton Lions.
Absolutely.
Go Lions, yeah. So I went there every summer till I was about 15, and I lived with her. And I just grew such a beautiful love and admiration for seniors through my love of my grandma. And she just taught me like how to be a good person, how to do basic things like ironing and gardening. One of the things that we did a lot was spend time in her garden and just really just savoring that time together and doing something together that meant a whole lot to her, and really was something that I carried into my adulthood, just my love of flowers and seniors. And then I spent about a decade working for a hospice organization. And my job was to tell stories of people who had experienced the care firsthand. And so when you meet with someone and they are just in this really tender time in their life, it just really puts perspective into focus from, you just realize that, you know, our life, of course, is made up of all of these moments of joy. Sometimes we're waiting for something big, like going on a vacation with our family, but really most of the context of our lives are these small moments of meaning. And so I saw that when I would interview patients and families and see that it's like the smallest thing that can help make us whole. And so being able to spend time with someone and hear that it's like, I just want to feel well enough to have my favorite meal with my favorite person, or to do my favorite thing, which is gardening. You know, it just, that left such a permanent imprint on my heart, to just say, you know, what can I do that could be, you know, maybe seems relatively small, but can have a tremendous impact in our community. And then I became a mom in late 2015, and that just like my heart just exploded, and you look at this, I was looking at this little boy and just thought, like, what can I do to be an active, engaged member of our community? And from that was really born this concept of like thrifting is also my love language. And so how can I reuse things that would otherwise be discarded and use that for a force for good, and be able to spread joy to people and activate a whole lot of community members.
Yeah. You mentioned this idea of upcycling. Is that what you call it? Upcycling. Yeah. Okay. Can you actually break that down? Because like knowing a little bit about the mission, it feels like there's a very tangible, practical thing that you do as well, right? There's absolutely the messages and like the delivery and like the conversations that get to happen on those deliveries. Yeah. But like there's also a bit of magic in the mission where using the flowers, like, can you just talk about that? Because it gives those things new life, and it gives like those things that maybe come from sad experiences, new purpose and new life. So can you talk about that?
Yeah. So most of what we use on a day-to-day basis is recycled. So we receive donated flowers from around our community. So we work with 2 of our local grocers, Hornbuckers and Cashwise, and like flowers that would have otherwise been discarded, volunteers pick up on a weekly basis. And so that could look like 1 rose is bad and a dozen roses, and that was getting damaged out and thrown in the garbage. Or we work with local families who have experienced the loss of a loved one, and so we work with all of our funeral homes as a way to honor your loved one. We work with local florists or event planners, and it could be after a big company celebration, or it could be your first charitable act as your after your wedding, to donate your flowers. There is, just generally speaking, a lot of waste in the floral industry, but more than that, we know that flowers are that physical form of love and sometimes communicate a message that words cannot. And they are also the keepers of memories. And so being able to just scoop up all of that love and put all of that goodness to work in this like little hand assembled by volunteers bouquet, that you're absolutely right. It's not about the flowers, although we are being really good stewards of our resources and being able to reuse as many things as possible. Like all of our jars are recycled. So they're either mason jars or they're recycled food jars of a similar size, like saving those things from just ending up in the landfill. Our boxes that we use for deliveries are produce boxes that have been recycled from our local grocers. We have one volunteer who collects about 800 of those a year just so we can reuse them. We use reused newspaper to pack our boxes, but I think that really is just a testament to the small things matter. So being able to do what we can to eliminate waste in our community, but then taking all of that stuff that still is good and still has life, and reminding people who are facing isolation, loneliness, or hardship that your community is here for you. Like, we care about you, and you matter just as you are, right? So being able to use that as the catalyst to extend an act of kindness and have something familiar we can connect over. That makes it okay that we're making that visit. But then you know what I'm going to do on that visit? With your consent, of course, is I'm going to give you a hug. I'm going to give you a high five. I'm going to ask you about your family. I'm going to hear about how your day has been. And sometimes that might be really hard, but I'm going to be that person that shows up as a beacon of light and joy, and, perhaps could have a lasting impact, just not on your day, but maybe on your life. And I think if we can mobilize a lot of people to do that, there's just so much power in these little moments that can be life-changing.
I love so many of the things that you just said. And I think the way that I kind of came across Hope Blooms, I had kind of known about you for a while. But it was when my grandma had passed away a few years ago, and my grandma Dolly, exactly what you just said, like always there with a hug, always there with a, how are you doing? Tell me about your life. Tell me what's new. Tell me what's old. And what was fascinating was I hadn't really been a part of like the full memorial service process before. And as we were like taking the flowers down in the church, and we had all of these bouquets from people that I love. So like from my team here at Tellwell, and from some of our clients even, that were like sending these gorgeous bouquets. And I was like, do we just throw these away? And that's what the funeral director said, is like, well, we can leave them up here at the church for, a while through the Sunday service, but then they'll get thrown away. And then I was like,
wait a second.
There is something along these lines.
Well, and also Grandma Dolly would not have wanted that.
No, as a gardener, she would have hated that. But what was so fun is my roommate and our friend, Erica, either she was on the board or a volunteer at the time. And I was like, hey, can you tell me more real quick about Hope Blooms? And she did like just this really quick. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, can I have Kelly's number?
Yeah.
And like, she gave me your number, and I think I texted you on like a Saturday afternoon, and I was like, hey, I have a Suburban of flowers that are coming. And you're like, great, we would love them.
Yeah.
And like, that was not necessary. Like, you didn't have to be like, yeah, sure, I'll meet you at, the Hope Bloom headquarters on a Saturday afternoon. And you did. And you received them with such grace and such care. And you gave so much care to my mom.
Yeah.
Who, like, it was such a hard day for her. And to be able to see like the care that you not only give to the people that are receiving, but to those folks that are also donating was just like,
well, I just
big
think,
feels.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that so much. And we love Grandma Dolly. We love all of our grandmas. But, I think there is just so much magic in these moments, whether it's through a delivery or through an interaction with a family who's donating or through an interaction with a volunteer coming into our space, like that we can do very small things that can just leave a tremendous impact on people. And like, so we try very hard to be very intentional about how we show up in this community, how we show up in our shop, and how we show up with those that we interact with. And I think it's just in our nature to like just look for the little things and do the little things, because that, I feel like if there's a bunch of us out there doing that sort of thing, it just kind of spills over and has a positive impact in ways that we could never even imagine. But I think you're right. Like after events and stuff, I mean, whether the event is happy or solemn, there's just all this extra stuff that you don't know what to do with, that it becomes stressful. The last thing you would wanted to do is throw flowers away that were in remembrance of your grandma, right? And so giving that a purpose, and that you can then, like, one bouquet, depending on the size, could yield maybe 4 bouquets. And we're going out there and visiting people who don't get visitors, right? Or who are going through mental health struggles, or receiving food assistance through our local food pantries, or women in our emergency shelters, or people at recovery centers or our local cancer centers. Like, I mean, we've seen firsthand like what that small little thing does, right? Because it's not about the flowers, but also the flowers are beautiful, and there's something special that most people don't get. It feels like it's something extra, but like, what does it look like when your community can show up for you beyond your basic needs, right? And I think that's where the magic in our mission lies, through those connections.
You talked a lot about intentionality. And so because these are mini episodes, at some point I want you to come back on Tellwell the podcast, because I want to talk about story, and I want to talk about the power of story to grow a mission and to, take you from a team of only volunteers to now a team of 4 with thousands of volunteers every year. And I want to talk about that, but I do want to talk a little bit about intentionality because we just have about 20 minutes for this podcast today. So as we were crafting the day of Well Told, the nonprofit storytelling conference.
Which, great name. Tellwell, Well Told. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for all the other ones to come.
They're going to be some good ones. They're going to be some good
so
ones.
Good.
But
from
a
fellow storyteller. I love that.
Story makers, storytellers, we're all here together. So as Annie and I were kind of crafting the day, one of the things that we realized is that when you go to these conferences, there tends to be this funny arc that starts really high, right? Then it kind of lulls before lunch, and then it goes up again, and then it drops so quickly. And so we were like, how do we more purposefully craft a day for adult learners who are busy, right? The nonprofit leaders that are coming to this carry full schedules. They have a lot of stuff to do. And so how do we infuse bits throughout the day that keep the energy up? And we were like, hey, a lot of folks do a happy hour, but what if we end our day with the happiest hour? Which is
a flower happy hour, I think, is the happiest it's the happiest place we can be, right?
You're dang right. And so Kelly and your team at Hope Blooms is going to lead us through the happiest hour. Can you tell us just a little bit, what can people expect at the end of the day, after their brains are so full of learning? Like, there might be a mimosa too, like, or
that's great. Love
part
it.
of the happiest hour. But what can they expect, and how are they going to interact with you and your team?
That's great. So everybody is going to get a hands-on opportunity to work with the flowers that are going to be used to decorate the conference. Tellwell is graciously donating those to Hope Blooms, and we are going to do a hands-on activity right there at the conference to disassemble all of the flowers that have been used throughout the room. And we are going to get to experience that magic of Hope Blooms firsthand. So we're going to set up an opportunity for people to help us make bouquets that will then be delivered to those that we serve. And so it's going to look like, number one, a lot of joy, a brief tutorial, hear a little bit about our mission, and then you're going to get your hands in there and be creative. And one thing that we've really seen, like, through our mission is, like, the impact that people have when they are working with the flowers and just side by side. Like, we've had teams come in and say, we've worked together for 5 years and we've learned more about each other in this 2-hour time span than we have the entire time. So you won't have 2 hours because, as I understand it, it is a happiest hour. But you will get all of the feel goods. You'll get to work with flowers. You're going to leave with an incredible sense of joy and accomplishment, and to know that you are making the difference in the lives of those that we serve. And so it's going to be really fun, and it's going to be impactful.
I am so excited.
So we have Joy Mail at our shop. And when you come and visit the Hope Bloom shop, there's fewer things sweeter than a handwritten note. I feel like you get a lot of bills and things that are not fun to open in the mail. But one of my favorite ways to tell people how that they matter to me is to write them a handwritten note, whether that's over an accomplishment or something hard that's happened in their life, or just like seeing someone and just appreciating who they are, and just following that up with a little note of gratitude. So you are able to send a piece of joy mail when you come to the Hope Bloom shop. We've got a cute little cards, and you write your info on there, and we've got a little mailbox, and we mail those on your behalf as a little surprise. And it's so fun because we see so many notes to grandmas, which just warms my heart. Like, Grandma, you would love this, or I'm really missing you, or you're the best grandma, or mom or dad, or just notes of encouragement. So,
oh, that's so good. So real quick, if you want to come to Well Told, the nonprofit storytelling conference, there are a couple ways to do it. welltoldconference.com. All of those links will be in the show notes. If you use the discount code podcast, it will actually take you from $297 in person back to $97 in person. Whoa. So it takes you from $297 all the way back to $97. And then there's also a discount code if you want to join us virtually, because this will all be done virtually, from $97 down to $27. So use the code podcast. And if people want to engage with Hope Blooms, if they want to donate, if they want to bring joy,
volunteer.
If they want to volunteer, if they want to donate, if they want to donate flowers, if they want to do any of these things, how do we engage with Hope Blooms?
So you just visit us on our website, hopeblooms.org. We've got all different kinds of ways that you can help on there, and we would love to have you involved. When you become a volunteer, you're called an official joy maker at Hope Blooms. And so we'd love to have your support.
Love it. Kelly Krenzel, thank you so much for joining us on Tellwell the podcast. We are so excited that you will be joining us at Well Told, the nonprofit storytelling conference, and it's just going to be such a great day. Thanks for the joy that you bring, thanks for the joy that you spread, and thanks for all the work that Hope Blooms does to make our community a better place.
Thank you, and thanks for having me, and thanks for, taking up all my demands for the sound effects.
That's a great way to wrap up. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for tuning into this special Well Told edition of Tellwell the podcast. If you're ready to transform how you share your mission, join us on April 24th in person in Fargo, or virtually for Well Told, the nonprofit storytelling conference, where powerful missions meet masterful storytelling. If you're interested, make sure to use code podcast at welltoldconference.com to unlock early bird pricing. Whether you're a nonprofit leader, communicator, or mission-driven entrepreneur, this intimate, hands-on experience will help your impact become impossible to ignore. Interested in sponsoring? Visit the website to see how you can support organizations working to grow and do the most good in our community. If you enjoy this podcast, you'll love the in-person experience and the rest of the episodes in this special series where we're talking to all of the speakers and sponsors making this incredible experience a reality. When good work is well told, change becomes unstoppable, and we invite you to join us at Well Told, the nonprofit storytelling conference in Fargo, April 24th.